and I work for the English Language School, and today we're going to have a look at the simple past. The simple past is a tense that we use when we're talking about an action that's finished or completed. If this is today, this is now, it's an action that's happened somewhere here, somewhere in our past. We can say when the action was completed and for how long it happened. Let's have a look at this sentence, which is in the simple present. Emma and Kate walk to the park. This is their routine. How do we change this sentence into the simple past? The subjects will stay the same. Emma and Kate. The verb will stay the same as it is the same action. But we add ed to the end. Emma and Kate walked to the park. That's the only difference from this sentence here. We could also say when the action was completed. I visited my family in July. Our verb ends in ed. He worked in Leeds for 12 years. We can say for how long the action took place. All of these sentences are using what we call regular verbs. They follow a pattern and they're all statement sentences. As we've seen in those three examples, for the regular verbs, normally we can just add ed. We also have three rules for the regular verbs. If the verb ends in an e, for example, arrive or shave, in order to change it into the simple past, we need to remove the e before we add ed. Arrive becomes arrived, and shave becomes shaved. The second spelling rule is that if the verb ends in a y after a consonant, and remember a consonant is any letter that is not a, e, I, o or u, for example, carry or study. Before we add ed, we must change the y to an I. Carry becomes carried, study becomes studied. We've removed the y, added I, and then added ed. The third rule is if the verb is a short vowel sound at the end, for example, jog or shop, before we add the ed, we must double the last letter. Jog becomes jogged, we've doubled the G, and shop becomes shopped. We've doubled the P. Let's have a look at the irregular verbs. These are ones that don't follow any patterns, which can get quite confusing, and unfortunately, you will have to learn these. Let's have a look at the most common ones. Drink doesn't change to drinked. We can't just add ed. It changes to drank. We've actually changed the I to an A. Eat is not eated, it's ate. No link to the one before. There's no patterns, as we've said. Go changes to went. Sleep changes to slept. Speak changes to spoke. Win changes to won. And do changes to did. Very confusing, but unfortunately, you just have to remember these ones. To confuse you even more, the verb be, which remember we use as am, are or is, depending on the subject, has two forms in the past tense. Was or were. Was is used for a singular subject, such as I, he, she or it. Were is used for a plural subject, so that means more than one subject, for example we or they. You can be singular or plural, but we always use were. Let's have a look at the negative and question sentences. Our example here, Sam listened to the radio, is a statement in the simple past. How do we know? Because the verb ends in ed. To change it into a negative, the subject stays the same, Sam. And like in our present simple, where we use do not, we use the past of do not, which is did not. Sam did not listen to the radio. Here, in the negative, we use the verb in the first form. We haven't added ed. That's because this part here tells us it's in the past tense. Did is the past of do. Let's have a look at this one. Here, our verb is this word. It's irregular. It's the past for eat. Again, we need to use did not. They did not eat pizza. The verb is in its first form. Let's have a look at questions. In the simple present, we would start our question normally with do or does, and we use the same format for our questions in the simple past. As the past for do is did, that's how we're going to start our question. Did Sam listen to the radio? Similar to the negative, we use the verb in the first form. We wouldn't say, did Sam listened to the radio? This word here tells it's in the past. Did. It's the past of do, remember? They ate pizza. Here is our statement. They did not eat pizza. Our negative. So our question, did they eat pizza? The verb is in the first form, like in the negative. All of the sentences, the negatives and the questions that we've looked at so far all contain an action. The sentence structure will change slightly if we're talking about the state, the emotion or the feeling. For example, I am hungry, I am not hungry, am I hungry? These are all in the simple present. They are all a state. I am hungry. It's what I am. It's how I feel. Let's have a look at how we can change the sentence, the statement, the negative and the question into the past. I am hungry becomes I was hungry. The verb is be. It changes to was because the subject is I. I was hungry in the past. I was not hungry. Was I hungry? If you would like to test yourself, please follow the link for our quiz.